Hey friends and family, welcome back to the channel. Lazy Tramster here. So I'm about to take the Slim to I'm gonna ride over to Rob's house. You all know Rob from Arrowhead Harley Davidson and now Roadrunner Harley Davidson. So Rob's got a cool Triumph, a vintage Triumph that I've been wanting to see. He's had it for actually a little while now, and I've been meaning to try and catch him with it because I love vintage bikes, and a vintage Triumph is even cooler. So I'm gonna head on over there and see what he's got going on. Man, that sounds incredible.
It's kind of fun.
What year is it?
1964.
Holy crap. That sounds better than my 77. It sounds better than some 80s bikes I've had. Holy shit.
Yeah, runs great, rides great, sounds great. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Wow. So what, okay, so we know it's a Triumph, that's clear, but
Sure.
what model is it?
So it started off as a correct numbers matching 1964 TR6 SR, which was the Desert Rat. There weren't actually a lot of them made, so it's a little bit more rare than a lot of the other Triumphs, Bonnevilles, and others at the time. Several years ago, a gentleman in California pulled some of the components off, dropped it in a new frame, and turned it into a bobber. Since then, it's had other modifications. Different mirrors, obviously it's got new tires, new headlight, new tail light. There's been some other things along the way. Tank's been raised and lowered and various things, but I think I've got it just about dialed into where I want to keep it.
Man. And it's a 650, right?
Yep. 650.
Now, does it feel like a 650 or does it feel like a 400? Does it feel like a 900? What does it feel like?
I don't know, that's tough to say because every other aspect of the ride feels so much different. You know, if it were sitting in its stock frame and suspension, I would tell you it probably feels like less than a 650. But sitting in this configuration, it kind of feels like more than a 650.
Huh. That's interesting. I mean, that's a pretty decent travel on those springs under the seat. How do you like that?
It's really only bad if you hit something really steep and deep. You hit a, you know, if you hit a speed bump too fast or a deep pothole or something like that, you'll pay for it. But normal paved roads, riding around town kind of thing, not bad at all.
Okay. Man. So it's funny that I'm going to ask you how many miles you think are on it, because on my 77, the first thing I did was I took the speedo and tack off of it, and I haven't had one since. Yeah. So what do you? I don't see one on here, right? So
Nope.
So what do you guesstimate?
Couldn't even begin to estimate. The guy that I bought it from was very much a rider and not a wrench. You could tell he didn't take care of his own stuff very well, and he had no idea what was on it when he bought it from the guy that actually built it several years before.
Wow. Gosh.
Yeah, I mean, since I've owned it, I've had to adjust both front and rear brakes, the clutch. I've had to adjust the carburetor. I had a minor wiring issue I had to fix. Needed new tires, needed new brake pads. I actually did quite a bit more to it than I thought I was going to have to.
Right.
I tried to keep it as close to true as I could.
I think that there's something to be said about, you know, when you get a bike, something like this, or, you know, even 70s, 80s, hell, even 90s, and it needs you, it needs your love. You get acquainted with it, and I think that's a nice
it's
thing.
Important. You find out all the little nuances. You know me, man, I'm not a brand snob. I've owned kind of pretty much everything. My wife and I were talking about it earlier. I think I've owned about 75 motorcycles.
Crap.
Maybe more than that. Might be a little bit more.
Man, and I always brag about having, I don't know, like 15,
right?
7, geez.
And across the board, they're all so different. You know, I mean, obviously a parallel twin is nothing like a V-twin, which is nothing like an N-line.
Yeah.
You're talking, you know, a mechanical carb versus CV carb versus fuel injection. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of factors. But this has been a fun one. It's really simple to work on. I mean, everything is easily accessible. It's got a very, very minor oil leak I'm not too concerned about. I might catch a drip every 3 or 4 weeks, so not even going to try to track that one down yet.
Might just be a And you did an oil change or not yet?
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
What are you running in it?
God, I don't even remember what I pulled off the shelf.
Yeah,
50, I think.
Yeah, that's where I would be too, especially with these older engines.
Yeah. Anytime I gas it up, I throw a little Marvell in there too.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's no lead in our gas anymore, so high octane, a little bit of Marvell.
All right, so we got the shifter on the right.
Yep.
So then this is still your brake.
Correct.
Clutch over here, yeah,
Correct.
I can see that. But then this is going to be your rear brake.
Correct.
And then you run it to a drum that's also a sprocket.
Correct.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's super easy to work on too, man. You pull the rear tire off of this thing, and you can literally just compress just slightly and pull that drum right out of the hub itself, and you're left with the sprocket attached to the wheel hub, and then 2 very large brake pads that almost touch inside there, and real simple stuff.
Man. And you put the white walls on.
I did. It had these same tires on it. They were just black.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something in my psyche that says a good bobber has to have white walls.
Yeah.
I've always kind of been that way.
I agree. Yeah, I loved the white walls on my 72. They looked great. I would have gone thicker like you did here.
Yeah.
Had I kept it longer. Man.
They were tough to find.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you pay a decent amount for them too?
No, they were cheap. They ended up being Shinko, so they're cheap.
Oh.
Quality-wise, price-wise. But like the rear tire says right on it that it's a front tire.
That's
but
funny.
it's still rated 850 pounds.
Right.
This thing can't be but 250, 275 maybe.
You could lift that easily.
I mean, I've put it on the lift and literally grabbed the frame and just pulled it up on there.
Right. Yeah. I've always loved that about moving the old bikes around.
Mm-hmm.
Man. Yeah, I've always wanted to have a line on some nice white walls in case I ever went that way. I mean, I need nicer tires for the 77, but I don't think it calls for white walls. But what Cruz is doing, it might look good on his 79. Man, I love this. This is just incredible. I like the mounting on that headlight. It's like an ear style headlight, but it's from a profile. It looks like it's a center mount, I mean, it is technically mounted to the triple, but just the little intricacies. So you've done some of your own touches. Is there any other thing you see, maybe like for the future with this thing?
As it sits right now, I don't think so. I mean, I had to go through and tighten up a lot of things. Like I said, the guy that had it was very much a rider, and really, you could tell he wasn't a mechanical person. The mounts for the exhaust, for example, were both loose, and they rattled horribly.
Oh, man.
So it's just a matter of cranking those down on the bushings a little bit. The motor mounts itself a couple of those were a little loose.
Yeah.
So I found those and gave them a little bit of love. And I'm an 80s kid, so I had to put some BMX style grips on it with some grip donuts.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at those.
Yeah, and you'll notice I got my dice on the valves like I do most of my BMX bikes. So, and I have this thing for new school and old school. I mean, it's got an LED tail light that actually says the word stop, which a lot of guys do now, but it's LED, so I kind of have this thing. I like to mix what's old and new, and, I mean, I think the coolest things in the world are probably things that run on modern technology but look like they're 40 years old or older,
Yeah.
Obviously, this really is that old, but...
Well, and here's proof right here that you can make a 2-into-1 manifold on a twin with a single carb setup work. I just got to figure out how to dial mine in.
It's tiny. We were talking about that before.
Right.
It's a little bitty carb, mechanical carb. You're running mechanical on yours too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's probably maybe modernized for this. I don't know. Maybe it's not.
No, I don't think so. It probably would have been accurate. I mean, my 42 Harley ran a mechanical carb, and that's
really
common for decades. They didn't really have the technology to rely on fast-moving air to do it for them.
It's true.
It's cool. It's got twin fuel shutoff valves. So your primary's on the right, your reserve's on the left.
Oh.
So you run out of gas on this side, and then open up the other one and make your happy ass to a gas station.
Right. Quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's not a big tank either.
Man. Throw a leg over, man. I want to see. How tall are you again?
So it depends on what shoes I'm wearing. If I'm wearing the right shoes, I like to brag I'm at least 5.5 feet tall. Realistically, I'm probably about 5'5".
Okay.
This is a very small bike. I mean, obviously, I'm flat-footed pretty easy.
Oh wow. Okay, so those springs really do elevate that seat a lot.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Man, that's a good fit.
Yep. Yeah, it's it's not a long reach. I mean, I would imagine if I were 6'4" or something like that, this would feel like a really tiny bike.
Yeah.
Because this does feel small to me. I mean, you know, the majority of my motorcycles currently are Harleys, so I'm used to big and heavy. But, you know, this thing is, there's nothing to it. I throw it around the shop, I throw it around the lift.
And the, I mean, the wheelbase obviously appears stretched out because of the hardtail, but as far as handling goes, how does it turn in good? And
yeah, no, it does just fine. I haven't had any scare moments. I don't really know how fast I'm going, so I've definitely been passing people in traffic probably a lot faster than I should.
Yeah, I had an oh shit moment on the 77. Turns out those Contis are not only cheap in value, but cheap in quality. The rear stepped out pretty far one day, yeah, and I wasn't even going.
I mean,
no?
I try to be aware of the fact that this old style tread pattern like this is kind of notorious for that anyway. I mean, these are not performance wheels. They're obviously on this bike for the looks.
Right.
You know, I mean, if I want to rip around corners, I'm going to go get on an old FXR or a T-Sport or CBR or something, you know what I mean? But this is just kind of a cool cruise around town. Probably won't see a lot of highway time.
Awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to show me around this bike, and I know the people that are watching this are going to enjoy it too. This is a gem. This is a treat to be able to see this and hear it run and everything. Yeah, man. Thanks so much.
No problem. It's been a dream of mine forever to have a legitimate old school bobber. I've built bobbers out of probably 7 or 8 Sportsters, you know, and they turn out really cool, but they're running fuel injection and modern motors. And
right.
I kind of like this very bare basic, super simplistic. I mean, the first thing everybody says to me is, oh, you're going to put turn signals on it? Absolutely not.
No.
Keep it stripped down, as light as you can, as little bullshit going on as you can, and just ride the hell out of it.
Yeah, amen. Cool, man. All right, guys. Well, I know I like the video, and I know you like the video. Don't lie to yourself. So smash the button, subscribe to the channel, and as always, stay safe out there. Hell yeah.
A lot of fun.
All right, man. I'll catch you later.